The next joint we need to look at is the proximal inter-phalangeal joint. We have fewer ligaments in this joint to be concerned with, but we still need to go over them. So we'll begin with the collateral. So again, collateral means on both sides. So that limits the articulation of the joint, so it's on a dorsopalmar plane, front to back, not side to side, just like our fingers. Then we have a pair of ligaments called the axial and the abaxial ligaments of the joint. And these ligaments are on the palmar, medial and lateral aspect of the joint. So we got the collateral, and then we have the abaxial. Ab at the beginning of the word means away from, so away from the central axis of the joint. And then we have the axial, which are closer to the central axis of the joint. And it's these ligaments that help to restrict the amount of articulation of this joint. Of the three joints, the metacarpophalangeal or fetlock joint has the largest range of motion. The coffin joint or distal interphalangeal has the next most range of motion, and the pastern or proximal interphalangeal joint has the least range of motion. For the most part, you do not see this joint move very much. And then we have, of course, a capsular ligament that encloses the joint. We also have a proximal digital annular ligament, which really is not part of the joint. It forms kind of a large X shape on the back face, palmar face of the limb, and it's superficial to all the other tissue. So it's really holding the tendons and ligaments deep to it in place and supporting them. And then we have the suspensory ligament of the navicular bone, which originates on the medial and lateral side, distal end of P1, runs down and inserts, do that in a different color, inserts into the medial and lateral point of the navicular bone and runs along the palmar edge of the navicular bone. So this is the suspensory ligament of the navicular. And then we have the abaxial and the axial, really on the same plane, that only involve the proximal interphalangeal joint. So we have one other ligament that we need to consider that originates on the distal end of P1, but it inserts onto the collateral cartilage, and we'll look at the ligaments of the distal interphalangeal joint or coffin joint next, and we'll include the ligaments of the collateral cartilage. So this covers the ligaments of the proximal interphalangeal joint. We have the capsular ligament, draw that in. Comes around, again it's a rubber boot that encloses the whole joint, contains the synovial fluid in the joint cavity. So we'll begin with the distal portion of the superficial sesamoidean. We have the collaterals, we have the axial and the abaxial pair of ligaments, and then we have the capsular ligament and the suspensory ligament of the navicular bone are all involved in this joint.